According to the National Electrical Code, which is widely adopted in the United States, a main breaker is required in a panel unless there is a disconnect between the meter base and the panel. NEC Article 240.21b states that each service panel board shall be provided with a readily accessible disconnect meeting the requirements of 230.70. NEC Article 230.70 states that where the service equipment is located outside a building or structure, there shall be a readily accessible, externally operable switch or circuit breaker for disconnecting all conductors of the service. Therefore, understanding the National Electrical Code's requirements for main breakers in electrical panels is crucial for ensuring electrical safety and code compliance. The NEC provides specific guidelines regarding when a main breaker is required and when it may not be necessary, depending on the presence of a disconnect between the meter base and the panel. A main breaker serves as a primary point of disconnection for the entire electrical panel, allowing for quick and easy shutdown of power in case of emergencies or maintenance. Its presence is particularly important when there isn't an alternative disconnect located upstream, such as between the meter base and the panel. Let's delve deeper into the relevant sections of the NEC to clarify these requirements. NEC Article 240.21b specifically addresses the need for a readily accessible disconnect for each service panel board. This disconnect must meet the requirements outlined in NEC Article 230.70. The purpose of this requirement is to ensure that a readily accessible means of disconnecting power to the panel is available, enhancing safety for both occupants and electrical workers. Furthermore, NEC Article 230.70 elaborates on the location and accessibility of this disconnect. It states that when the service equipment is located outside a building or structure, there must be a readily accessible, externally operable switch or circuit breaker capable of disconnecting all conductors of the service. This provision applies to situations where the main electrical panel is situated outdoors, such as in a detached garage or shed. In such cases, an external disconnect is essential to allow for safe and convenient power shutoff. The absence of a disconnect between the meter base and the panel necessitates the inclusion of a main breaker within the panel itself. The main breaker serves as the primary disconnect in this scenario, fulfilling the NEC requirement for a readily accessible means of energizing the electrical system. Without a main breaker, there would be no easy way to shut off power to the panel in case of emergencies or for maintenance purposes. It's important to note that while the NEC provides a comprehensive framework for electrical safety, local codes may also have their own specific requirements. These local codes can vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, and it's essential to be aware of and comply with them. In some cases, local codes may be stricter than the NEC, imposing additional requirements or modifications. Therefore, it's always advisable to consult with local electrical authorities or inspectors to ensure full compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. When faced with conflicting information or interpretations of the NEC, it's crucial to seek clarification from qualified electrical professionals. Licensed electricians, electrical engineers, and code experts can provide valuable insights and guidance in navigating complex code requirements. They can also help resolve any ambiguities or discrepancies in interpretation, ensuring that the electrical installation meets all safety standards. Furthermore, it's essential to maintain accurate records of all electrical work performed, including permits, inspections, and documentation of compliance with applicable codes. These records serve as proof of adherence to safety standards and can be invaluable in case of future inspections or audits. Proper documentation also helps ensure consistency and traceability in electrical installations, facilitating maintenance and troubleshooting. In addition to understanding the specific requirements for main breakers and disconnects, it's also important to consider the overall design and layout of the electrical system. Factors such as load calculations, conductor sizing, overcurrent protection, and grounding must be carefully evaluated to ensure a safe and reliable electrical installation. Load calculations determine the total electrical demand of the building or structure, which is essential for selecting the appropriate size of conductors, circuit breakers, and other electrical components. Proper conductor sizing ensures that the wiring can safely carry the intended electrical load without overheating or causing voltage drop. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to protect electrical circuits from overloads and short circuits, preventing damage to equipment and reducing the risk of fire. Grounding provides a low impedance path for fault currents to return to the source, minimizing the risk of electric shock and equipment damage. By paying close attention to these design considerations, you can create an electrical system that is both safe and efficient. Let's elaborate on the NEC articles mentioned earlier to provide a more comprehensive understanding of their implications. NEC Article 240.21b focuses on the overcurrent protection of feeder taps. It outlines the requirements for tapping into a feeder circuit to supply power to a smaller load. The general rule is that the overcurrent protection device for the tap conductor must be located at the point where the tap originates from the feeder. However, there are several exceptions to this rule, allowing for flexibility in certain situations. One exception is that the tap conductor can be protected by the feeder overcurrent device if the tap conductor meets certain requirements, such as being no longer than 10 feet or 25 feet, depending on the application. These exceptions are designed to accommodate specific installation scenarios while maintaining adequate safety. NEC Article 230.70 specifies the location of the service disconnecting means. As mentioned earlier, it requires that the disconnecting means be readily accessible and externally operable. This means that the disconnect switch or circuit breaker must be easily reachable and capable of being operated from outside the building or structure. The purpose of this requirement is to allow for quick and easy power shutoff in case of emergencies, such as fires or floods. The disconnecting means must also be clearly labeled to indicate its function, making it easy for emergency responders or maintenance personnel to identify and operate it. Furthermore, the NEC provides detailed requirements for the types of disconnecting means that are permitted. These requirements vary depending on the voltage and amperage of the service, as well as the specific application. In general, the disconnecting means must be capable of safely interrupting the maximum available fault current at the service entrance. It must also be suitable for the environment in which it is installed, such as being weatherproof for outdoor applications. By adhering to these requirements, you can ensure that the service disconnecting means is both safe and reliable. It's also important to consider the coordination of overcurrent protection devices throughout the electrical system. Coordination refers to the selective tripping of circuit breakers or fuses to isolate faults without interrupting power to other parts of the system. Proper coordination minimizes downtime and prevents unnecessary disruptions to electrical service. To achieve coordination, the overcurrent protection devices must be carefully selected and adjusted to ensure that the device closest to the fault trips first, while upstream devices remain closed. This requires a thorough understanding of the characteristics of each overcurrent protection device, as well as the impedance of the electrical circuits. Coordination studies are often performed by electrical engineers to analyze the electrical system and determine the optimal settings for overcurrent protection devices. These studies help ensure that the electrical system is properly protected against overloads and short circuits, while minimizing the risk of nuisance tripping. In addition to coordination, it's also important to consider the selective coordination requirements for emergency systems. Emergency systems, such as fire pumps, emergency lighting, and life safety equipment, must be designed to operate reliably during power outages or other emergencies. Selective coordination ensures that a fault in one part of the emergency system does not cause the entire system to shut down. This is achieved by using overcurrent protection devices that are specifically designed for selective coordination, such as current-limiting fuses or circuit breakers with adjustable trip settings. These devices are capable of interrupting high fault currents without tripping upstream devices, ensuring that critical emergency systems continue to operate. By implementing selective coordination for emergency systems, you can enhance the safety and reliability of these essential systems. Another important aspect of electrical safety is arc flash protection. Arc flash is a dangerous electrical explosion that can occur when a fault occurs in electrical equipment. The intense heat and pressure generated by an arc flash can cause severe burns, injuries, and even death. To protect workers from arc flash hazards, the NEC requires that employees conduct arc flash hazard assessments and implement appropriate safety measures. These measures may include wearing personal protective equipment, such as arc-rated clothing and face shields, and using insulated tools and equipment. The NEC also requires that electrical equipment be labeled with arc flash hazard information, such as the incident energy level and the required personal protective equipment. This information helps workers assess the potential hazards and take appropriate precautions. Arc flash hazard assessments typically involve analyzing the electrical system to determine the potential arc flash incident energy at various locations. This analysis takes into account factors such as the voltage, available fault current, and clearing time of overcurrent protection devices. Based on the results of the assessment, appropriate safety measures can be implemented to minimize the risk of arc flash injuries. In addition to arc flash protection, it's also important to consider the electrical safety requirements for specific types of equipment and installations. For example, the NEC provides specific requirements for the installation of swimming pools, spas, and hot tubs to prevent electric shock hazards. These requirements include the use of ground fault circuit interrupters, bonding of metal parts, and restrictions on the location of electrical equipment. Similarly, the NEC provides specific requirements for the installation of electrical equipment at hazardous locations, such as areas where flammable gases or vapors are present. These requirements include the use of explosion-proof equipment and wiring methods to prevent ignition of hazardous materials. By adhering to these specific requirements, you can ensure the safety of electrical installations in a variety of environments. Furthermore, it's essential to stay up to date on the latest revisions and interpretations of the NEC. The NEC is updated every 3 years to incorporate new technologies, address emerging safety concerns, and clarify existing requirements. Staying current with these updates is crucial for ensuring that electrical installations comply with the latest safety standards. The NEC is available for purchase from various sources, including the National Fire Protection Association and other standards organizations. It's also often available for review at local libraries and building departments. In addition to reading the NEC itself, it's also helpful to attend training courses and seminars on electrical safety. These courses can provide valuable insights into the NEC requirements and best practices for electrical installations. They can also help you stay informed about new technologies and emerging safety concerns. Many organizations offer electrical safety training courses, including trade associations, educational institutions, and private training companies. By investing in electrical safety training, you can enhance your knowledge and skills, improve your safety performance, and reduce the risk of electrical accidents. Moreover, it's important to foster a culture of safety in the workplace. This involves promoting awareness of electrical hazards, providing ongoing training and education, and encouraging employees to report any safety concerns. A strong safety culture can help prevent electrical accidents and injuries, improve employee morale, and reduce costs associated with accidents and downtime. To foster a safety culture, it's essential to involve all employees in the safety process. This can be achieved through regular safety meetings, safety committees, and employee suggestion programs. By empowering employees to identify and address safety hazards, you can create a more proactive and engaged workforce. In addition, it's important to recognize and reward employees who demonstrate a commitment to safety. This can be done through safety awards, incentive programs, and public recognition. By recognizing and rewarding safe behaviors, you can reinforce the importance of safety and encourage employees to prioritize safety in their daily work. Finally, it's crucial to continuously monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of safety programs. This involves tracking safety metrics such as accident rates, near misses, and safety violations, and using this data to identify areas for improvement. Regular audits and inspections can also help identify potential hazards and ensure that safety procedures are being followed. By continuously monitoring and evaluating safety programs, you can ensure that they are effective in preventing electrical accidents and injuries. In conclusion, understanding and adhering to the NEC requirements for main breakers, disconnects, and other electrical safety measures is crucial for ensuring the safety and reliability of electrical installations. By staying informed about the latest codes and standards, investing in electrical safety training, and fostering a culture of safety in the workplace, you can minimize the risk of electrical accidents and injuries. This comprehensive approach to electrical safety will help protect workers, prevent property damage, and ensure the safe and efficient operation of electrical systems.